You are now live with Taji.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Taji. We're live with Taji here, and I have an extraordinary guest tonight on Throwback Thursday, we call it, August 27th. And I'm gonna tell you why, because he has music coming out. They're being streamed everywhere tomorrow, August 28th. He already has music, but he has more music coming out tomorrow. So we're talking about that right now here live on Facebook. So soon, sound of something out of nothing. How are you tonight?
I'm good, Taji. How are you?
Oh my gosh, it's been, I feel like it's been forever. Like it was a pleasure meeting you for the Juneteenth weekend event. And I mean, that energy that you gave us was just so wonderful. I still can't forget when you were just rhyming, and I'm like, oh my gosh, can you take a breath? Like I don't know how you was able to just go in like that. You
Thank
know,
you.
it reminded me of Twister a little bit, for those listening right now. Like, what is she talking about? Like, you ever think when Buster and Twister, they just keep going and going and going and going and going, and you're like, okay, take a breath, please.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yes. So, how are you with everything, especially with this pandemic, after pandemic, as you would say?
Yeah.
How are things?
I'm good as far as like pandemic related stuff. I'm in a safe place where I can socially distance and still like go out, and even if I need to go outside, be socially distant but not feel like I need to be in the presence of a lot of people. It's these continued incidents of black
Mm,
people being killed that are really like shifting my energy on a day-to-day basis. So I just try to like sit with that and process it and recognize that those emotions are real, and then at the same time rechannel it back into my art and creative process. You know what I mean? So it's always, it's an ever shifting energy, but all in all, I could be worse, but I'm better, so I'm thankful.
yeah, it is definitely sad at what's going on with our people these days. It's been going on for centuries. It's not just happening now, but it's just sad that, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and everyone that preached about this and try to end it. And I feel like we're back at square one, like as if
Yeah,
all of that was done in vain. Like
yeah,
when is it going to end? So I
yep,
really get where you're coming from. And today is Throwback Thursday, and I feel like we're throwing it back to how it was back in the day.
yeah, absolutely,
It's
absolutely,
crazy. But on the positive note, you have been taking this time to make music, right?
absolutely.
During quarantine, as they say, SON. Is it SONY quarantine or Sony quarantine? Because I'm sure
So
people.
it's Sony quarantine, but it is an acronym for Sound of New York. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Sound of New York.
Hmm.
I love your acronyms. I love your acronyms. So I want
Thank
to ask you, did you have anything? Because we all go through, I'm not sure what I want my stage name to be, my alias to be. Did you have like a top two or top three names that you wanted before you went with So Soon?
Well, my original stage name was Jay Skills. My given name. I'm at a point in my artistic career where like I'm not afraid to share my real name. I know some artists, it's like this is my persona and that's it. So my name is James, and so I just had this very generic stage name, Jay Skills, and I went with that for a few years, and like from high school going into college, and when I like college was when I first got to start performing around the city and meeting other artists, and I kept like running into artists with some version of skills in their name, including one of my producers who is
Hmm.
to this day one of the people I've had the longest collaborative careers with. And that was like, I felt like that was meant to be in and of itself. We both got skills in our name, spelling it with a Z, and we just had a
Hmm.
great connection, from artist to producer. But I just got to a point where it was clear that I was generic, and I had to shift to something that wasn't as accessible, that had less of a chance of being bitten without like almost being clear that like, okay, you heard my name and you're like jocking my shit. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've always had an affinity for acronyms, and so I couldn't tell you. It's been so long now. The different iterations of what wound up becoming So Soon, but it just, yeah, once I came up with that, it stuck. It took a while for people who knew me as Jay Skills to transition, but I've been So Soon longer than I haven't for my artistic career. So it's like there's only a
Yeah,
small
like
handful of people who knew me as Jay Skills at this point.
yeah. So you like this is it. I love it. So
Yeah.
soon, I love it. And the and you have New York in there. Are you from New York?
Born and raised. I'm
I would hope
from,
so.
yeah.
Sound of New York. Okay, so let's talk about. I know you have 4 music videos out and 2 documentary chapters.
Hmm. Yep.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the documentary? Like, is it about how life was being in this quarantine? Is it attached to the songs that you made? Is it both?
Yeah, so just to provide some context, and I'll be very brief about this. So when the quarantine hit, the first thing I wanted to do is just put music out. And I wasn't being morbid, but I was being realistic. And so in my mind, I thought, God forbid something happens to me with this unknown situation that's impacting so many people around the world. I don't want to have a bunch of music just sitting on hard drives that's high quality and can just be on streaming and have people, I don't care if it's 10, 100, 1,000, a million people listening, at least it's out there. And so I just slapped together some songs that I've been sitting on for some years and put together SOONY Volume 2. I dropped that in March, and that was like right around the beginning of the quarantine. And soon after releasing that, I was promoting and doing all that stuff. But then, within that same amount of time that I released it, I just started getting inspired because it was like you can't go anywhere. It was still like cold, like winter hadn't passed yet. So you, we were being encouraged to stay inside, self quarantine, and it was cold. So it wasn't really much reason to go outside other than
Right.
to the grocery store, like a very essential errand.
Right.
And so I just was sitting around the house, like inspired to write and reflect on what was happening in that moment. And then in talking to my producer, King Virtue, who's produced half of the project,
Mm.
he challenged me like, yo, you need to get this music out sooner than later and not look like a follower, because he just anticipated a lot of people would be releasing quarantine inspired music. So I was like, get it out before everybody else so you can say you were ahead of the curve. So I put together these 7 songs, recorded the whole thing in 6 days,
Oh my
and
gosh.
just trying to figure out how to continue to keep the energy around it and promote it. It occurred to me that like I'm not a filmmaker by trade, but I used to work for an organization that taught filmmaking, so I picked up some skills there. And I just
Mm.
like took my iPhone 11, it's a high quality phone. I said I'll film some music videos, and so
Wow. So
that's
you
how the
film them
music video
yourself?
came. I filmed and edited everything with a few exceptions in 2 of the videos where I had my partner either hold or watch the camera and do like one thing that it just wasn't physically possible to do. And everything else was just putting the camera on a tripod and understanding different shot compositions. And
Oh
like I
wow.
said, I had those skills. I never really fully utilized them, so it made sense. And then the documentary piece is the same thing. I learned how to put together short documentaries from working for this organization. And so I wanted to not only have music videos, but also have a documentary that talked about the experience of, to answer your question directly, both being in the pandemic, in the midst of a quarantine, and making music during this time. So both things are happening simultaneously in those chapters.
Oh wow. Wow. So do you typically make videos for each song that comes out?
No, the
I mean, I'm just asking because I was watching your videos and I'm like, ooh, I want to see more. And I'm
yeah.
like, it seems like, there's a video for most songs. Do you, say to yourself, hey, I really love this song. I want to make a video to it because I really feel this and
Yeah.
I feel like I can present it. Is that how you figure that out?
No, that's a good question, and the answer is no. So the sad part, everything happens for a reason. So I don't hang my hat on this and get too caught up in it. But the sad part is that in a career as a hip hop artist that has spanned 20 years, these are my first music videos as a solo artist. I've been a part of several groups, and some of those groups we have music videos. I've collaborated with artists who have chosen to use those songs and make those music videos. But these are my first solo music videos. And so I'd had an idea for a few years now that when that time came that I finally got music videos under my belt, that they would be one scene videos to keep it very minimal, but still keep it very creative. And I realized in hindsight, I don't watch a lot of music videos. I want to just kind of quickly pivot and say that, but I realized for the few that I watch, I'm not the only person who's thought this. I don't need one scene where I'm in the street
right,
rapping, and then the next scene is I'm in the car rapping, and then the next scene is I'm in the club. Like, you can get a lot done in literally one space. And so I'd been waiting for the right moment to connect with a filmmaker, a music video producer
right,
who could help bring these things to life. But once the quarantine came, I said, okay, shit, I got these songs out. I have the capacity to do this myself. And the ideas just started coming on how to make them their own music videos. But then what's gonna happen within another few weeks, months, something like that. I'm not gonna spend too much time trying to figure it out, but I'm gonna weave them together to be one mini, or one like long kind of video, almost like a Trapped in the Closet series, but a little different from that. So they're telling their own stories, but then you'll be able to piece them together to make one long story. So
gotcha.
So
So
yeah, it was just like realizing that I had these skills and I wasn't fully utilizing them. I was like thinking that, oh, I can just wait for the right filmmaker to come and do it. But like I said, once the quarantine hit, it was like,
yeah,
it doesn't hurt to try to figure this out myself. And it had its challenges, but
I'm
it was
sure.
fairly easy. So I'm
I'm
thankful
sure.
for the quarantine, because I don't know that I would have ventured out to try to film and edit my own music videos.
Wow, that's great that you were able to do that, because during this time is the best time to actually do what you feel that you can, that
Yep.
we didn't have time to do before, and now we can try to perfect it, so that's cool. And I'm sure a lot of people look up for you. I'm like, wow, he did his own videos and he edited them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he does. Like, what don't you do? I'm sure you have a lot of
A
people
lot.
thinking that.
There's a
Along
lot
with
that I don't
being,
do.
loving the fashion. Last time I saw you, I was like, oh my God, like, where did you get that? You
Yeah.
know, and we're gonna get into the fashion later, because right now, I just want to hear about the music.
What?
So, I have to ask you this. You have a song, Only Child, which they're definitely gonna be listening to next week on Tuesday night, right? Only child. Are you an only child?
So
Are you speaking for those that are the only child? Because I'm an only child.
nice. Yeah, I was raised an only child. I'm my mother's only child. I'm my father's youngest of two. Um, but my brother and we don't have a bad relationship. We just didn't grow up. Like, we grew up like close to each other. It's weird because like he lives in Oregon now with his family, but we grew up like in close proximation. Like, I mean, same borough, bus ride away. But I'm
Right.
not really connected to my father's side of the family, so my brother and I aren't really super close like that. But I will also add that in about a decade of time working as a youth developer, I've become a mentor. And so any young person who I've mentored, because I'm an only child from a small family, I often adopt them as little brothers and little sisters.
Aw.
So, but by like how I was raised was an only child. And so like that song is very much me saying that there's all these things happening in the world because of the quarantine and things that were happening even before the quarantine. But I feel okay with being inside. I feel okay with being isolated because I've always like spent my life like that. And I know there's some only children who love to be social. I'm kind of one of those people, but the older I get, the more I appreciate like the isolation and being by myself. I
Right.
actually not only appreciate it, but I need it to recharge, because being social requires a lot of energy, and then I have to be able to make that time and space to go home and
Right.
recharge. And so, yeah, that's literally what the song is about. Just being like, I am content. Like I've heard
Right.
so many stories of people who have had challenges not being able to interact in person with people during the quarantine, and I sympathize with them. And at that same time, knowing my own experience, I'm like, I'm not pressed. I have so many things to do. I feel like the
Yeah.
movie Step Brothers with Will Ferrell and Homeboy, where it's like so many activities. Like I
Oh
just
my
found
gosh.
every
It's
and
like
anything to do.
never ending. Like,
Yeah.
for some people, it's like, what can you do? And then some is like, dang, I could do so much right now because I haven't been able to do that,
Oh my goodness. Like, I won't even
And,
get into
I
all
feel
the
like
things.
we all go through when we can feel lonely, whether we, have a mate or not, have siblings or not. Like, I feel like we go through that zone, and a lot of us felt that during the quarantine. But I do feel that loneliness brings creativity, a lot of it. So if you had it already, I'm sure it doubled or maybe even tripled.
It's people saying they want to throw out 2020. Again, I hear it. I'm a very open-minded person, and I like to recognize that we all, as human beings, have different experiences. We process things differently. But I'd be lying if I like. It's bittersweet. There's so many really fucked up things that have happened during this quarantine. People have lost
Yeah.
loved ones, and I lost my last living grandparent during this
Oh
quarantine,
man.
and
Sorry.
at the
So sorry to
same
hear that.
no, thank you, and I hold that space for that, and at the same time, this has made me an even more capable human being. It's I'm really fortunate to the higher powers that have like equipped me with the I guess the fortitude to like be
Hmm.
productive during this time, and it really taught me some things about myself that I don't know that I would have learned had this not happened. So
Right.
I see both sides of it, and I'm very fortunate for the good that has come out of it.
Right. Right. It has been tough. And speaking of which, do you feel that this quarantine is going to be extended to
Yeah,
December
yeah.
or 2021?
Yeah, for sure. I think we're gonna be in quarantine in the fall. I am already preparing for because my birthday is late November. Actually, my birthday landed on Thanksgiving this past
Oh,
November. That happens like every 5 or 6 years or something like that. And so I'm already prepared to have like I don't even think I'd need a Zoom live birthday celebration. I'm cool with like I live with my partner. We moved in together like late last year, and I'm comfortable with just like
just
people
having
can
something
text me
intimate.
and just we'll go order a cake or something and get some seafood or something. But I'm already mentally prepared for that. I might like spend Thanksgiving with my mom, but other than that, like the actual day of my birthday, I think it will probably be like quarantined in the crib, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we are getting used to things.
Yeah,
Know? And I'm
yeah.
like, I feel like that's what the government wants for us to get used to not hugging each other, you know, keep a distance, I don't want to get into politics. I'm not into politics and stuff, but go, don't go to church. Like, they don't want those social gatherings happen because guess what? When social gatherings happen, we all talk and we come together even more. But I mean, that's already happening. So,
Yeah. You know what's funny? So in my song Fuck the Pandemic, which you alluded to earlier, I alluded to the Avengers Endgame movie.
mm,
Did you see that? Did you get a chance to see that?
of course.
Okay, no. I don't want to make false assumptions
I
because
know.
everybody not might be a Marvel,
I'm a movie girl.
Okay.
I may not remember the full details. I might confuse it with another one, but
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. So I alluded to it, and just as you were talking just now, where like, because I'm also not like super civically engaged, and so I understand what's happening, but I can't really convey it. But as you were talking, it made me think about how it feels like the time we're in now is if they made another Avengers after Endgame to really reflect on like, or not even another one after, but if they spent more time in the movie reflecting on the life of like non-mutants or non-superheroes after Thanos snapped the Infinity Gauntlet and just like erased half of the population of the Earth and I guess the universe. It feels like this is something like what that must be like, where we're like, there's a new norm that we have to adjust to whether we want to or not. And some are like figuring it out. Others are just like really struggling. And I guess that's not what I was necessarily saying in the song. But in hindsight, it's almost like I inadvertently was alluding to that.
Gotcha. So I know you were raised in the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know, what do you feel is the difference with music and hip hop, actually, 90s versus now? I mean, there's a huge difference, but I want to know from your vision.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like an old head because, you know, everything evolves, right? I think that because what happens often is that people who just say things like hip hop is dead, you are limiting your scope of like access. And what I mean by that is like you have artists like myself and so many others who really hold to some of the tenets that made hip hop what it was back during that time. And where you can find that music that you want if that's the kind of music you listen to growing up. But I think that on a commercial level, and it's important, I think it's important to make that distinction. I think on a commercial level, what has happened is that the current music makers are taking the things that made music sell in the 90s and really they're like extracting the things that were happening in the 90s, but really honing in on a few particular things to make the music that is commercial. But at the same time, let's not act like it totally erases other artists who are still making music that feels more in tune to what was happening then, like more attention to lyricism. Like even like a Nori, for example, he had bars,
right?
But Nori, I was having this conversation with one of my friends recently. Nori, when he went from Noriega to Nori, he realized that his niche was like humorous rap, right? And so it was still commercial, and he still talked about many things that are still being discussed in hip hop: getting drunk, smoking blunts, hood shit, messing with women, you know, all these different kind of things. But he did it in a humorous way, and it was accepted as kind of a diversity in what was existing. So I guess to summarize this long rant, I think that there might be a lack of diversity, and I think there was on a level a lack of diversity even then, but I feel like if you were paying attention, you could almost anticipate this shift to what's happening now, where everything sounds so monolithic, if that makes sense. It's like so monotone, it's the same thing. Folks are really focusing on like what me and my I have a IG live show that I co-host with a friend of mine, and when we rate artists who like fake sing, we call it crooning. And so like we have a lot of crooning now that blends in with like rapping or rhyming words and so on and so forth. And say it again.
What did you say you call it?
Crooning. Yeah, so it's like fake singing. And I just think that like it's different, but I understand that these are people who have seen generations of artists become successful, and they're just like really honing in, like I said, to the things that make the music commercial and not really concerned about, like, you don't got to be a ill lyricist to be successful. So now if you want to be an ill lyricist, you have to be very intentional about it.
Yeah, you have to be very intentional about it. You have to go hard too as well. You have to believe in yourself and keep it going so that you could be, you know, number 5 on Tidal's Rising Hip Hop playlist, you know, like SoSoon.
Yeah. A lot
How
of you
was that feeling? I mean, because, you know, Tidal is up there, you know.
That was I'm gonna be very real. that was knowing the right people. One of my producers, I mentioned him earlier, King Virtue. He has somebody in title. I'm not going to drop too much information, but he knows somebody in title who he got the song into the hands of. But it wasn't that simple, because if it were whack, they wouldn't have accepted it.
Exactly.
So it went to a panel, and there's a process that happens behind the scenes that I'm not entirely privy to, but apparently they deemed it worthy enough to make it to that rising hip hop playlist. And so I feel very fortunate to that. And I don't have a problem being honest with that. Like, I could be one of these artists who acts like, oh, everything is organic, but I'd be lying if I did that, because if you know anything about like you yourself as a host and a woman who wears many hats, a stylist, a host, so many different things that you do, Taji, you know that there is an element of what you know, and there's a bigger element about who you know, right?
That is true.
So I can't take the credit. Like, the song was great. The song was timely. Tired is the song we're talking about. And at the same time,
I love that song, actually.
Thank you. But it wouldn't have happened if King Virtue didn't have that connection. It wouldn't have happened this soon. I'm positive that it would have happened eventually, and I would get these kudos. I'm busting my tail to make that happen, but I'm not doing it by myself. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, well, I appreciate you being transparent with us, but people, don't get it twisted. Like, you still have to bust your ass to get that. Listen, sometimes we have those connections. Sometimes we know people that have those connections. Yep. But guess what? You have to bust your ass, be you, show how talented you are. So obviously, the person that presented it to Tidal believed in your music, believed in you, and said, you know what, I'm going to hand this over. And it wasn't just like, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to get this done. No, they had to literally, go through their debate and say, hey, do we feel like this is worthy? So you still had a process to go to. Maybe you got a little further than others, but you still had a process to go to, which still isn't easy.
And what I'll add to that is that song is not even a song that he produced. He produced, like I said, so I'll tell you now that currently the project is 7 songs.
Okay.
Obviously, it'll be out on all the streaming sites tomorrow. It's been available on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, but tomorrow is when it's going to hit Tidal, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Music, all that good stuff. But what's beautiful and appreciated about that situation is that King Virtue produced 3 of the 7 songs on that project, and Tired is not one of the songs he produced, but he still, he didn't have ego and say, I'm going to push my song. He said, the song is relevant to what's happening right now. Let me get it into the hands of the person who can possibly make something happen with this. And then to what you were saying, again, like, if the song were whack, they would have said, look, I'm sorry, like, this just isn't hitting, so I can't put my neck out there, nor will my team put their necks out there to promote a whack song. So,
And obviously it was hitting for it to stay there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hand something, because, I done seen it all, so sometimes you could hand your music over, they say it's going to be there, and the next thing you know, it's not there.
Yes.
You're like, yo, what happened? Like, what? But that's nice too. That goes to show the people that you're working with, because a lot of people will push for theirs, but you doing your thing. You keep, like I said, and I really mean when I say that, keep bringing us more. I want to hear more.
Yeah.
You have a documentary, you have your videos on YouTube. Everybody make sure you go follow, support, subscribe, all of that good stuff. You're on the main social media platforms because there's so many. I don't even know what's going to happen after TikTok because there's always something after TikTok.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. But I mean, I appreciate the transparency with that. And, so name of songs, how do you figure that out? Is it something that you have to go through in this point in time, or you just feel like, you know what, this would be the perfect name for this song? How do you figure out the name?
That's a good question. It's a good question, excuse me. And so, real quick, I just want to pivot because you were talking about, just the things that I've been doing with this project, documentary, short, mini documentary chapters, what do you call it? Music videos, actual music, so on and so forth. One of the things that I'm working on right now is, I'm doing I'm planning on doing like a decoded style book for every project that I release from this point on, where I'm footnoting and annotating each song and really discussing the inspiration behind each song. So I'm working on that. It'll be my first published book. I'm super excited about the possibility of that, because that's not something I ever envisioned for myself when I first wrote my first rhyme, but I'm excited about that. And one of the things that I talked about in the book is the fact that as a musician, different processes, different parts of the process happen at different times. So like 7-song project, right? Some of the songs I hear the beat and immediately know what the title of the song is going to be and the concept of the song is going to be. Other songs, I'm just like, all right, I'm writing a few lines and let's see where it goes. And then somewhere in the middle, or maybe even at the end of it, you conclude, all right, this is going to be the song title. So I can't say that there's one straightforward process that happens each time I take to creating a new song. It depends. It truly depends. One of the things I also wanted to say real quick is that going back to King Virtue, I mentioned that he produced 3 of the 7 songs, but I'm actually going to release a deluxe version of the album probably a month from now. So like tomorrow, the 7 songs that have existed for a few months will be on streaming, and then a month from tomorrow I'm gonna release the deluxe edition, and it'll be 3, maybe 4 new songs, but as far as who's produced them, he's the beat maker for at least 2, probably 3 of those songs if I drop 4. And thinking about those songs, because they're still in the creative process, as like once I get off this live with you, I'm going back into the proverbial booth and finishing the writing and recording for these songs. Those songs, I knew the concept before the words came. I knew the title before the words came. But by and large, I'm usually writing first, and then through the writing, I figure out the title. So it can go either way.
So with writing songs, do you feel like, you know what, I need to take a break? Because, sometimes you need to give your brain a break a little, Or are you like, you know what, nope, I have to finish this. I have to finish this. I have to finish this. It could be 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I have to finish this.
Your questions come with so many detail that allow me to really lay out detail. So here's the thing, right? This project, SOONY Quarantine, is so special to me because it is my 5th solo project. Again, like I said earlier, I've been part of several groups and we have projects, but this is my 5th solo project. What makes it so special is that it is the fastest time from the moment that I first wrote any lyric to the point that I completed. I've never finished any project in less than a year, let alone this was done in 3 months, from literally from the first lyric I wrote to the last recording and mixing I did and put it up. This was done in about 2 months total time, before I even knew it was going to be a project like that I was going to release in that amount of time. And so I feel very capable and very humbled that that process happened the way it did. And so the writing was really quick once I knew, okay, this is going to happen. These are the beats that are going to make this project, the songs I'm going to write. We're going to do 7 songs, boom, boom, boom. Actually, it was 6 originally, and then the 7th came on the eve of the release of the project. And since then, like I said, I'm now going to make a deluxe edition, which will turn it from an EP, which for anybody who's watching doesn't understand that concept, that's basically any music project that's under 10 tracks. Anything 10 or more is an LP. The acronym is EP extended play, LP is long play, and that goes back to like records, like phonograph, like record date.
I like how you explain that.
Yeah, I taught hip hop to young people, so it's important that I give that kind of context so people are not hearing these terms and what are you talking about?
Right.
And so The deluxe album will turn it from an EP to an LP because it'll be 10 complete, at least 10 tracks, maybe more. And yeah, with the LP, it'll just, that writing process has been a lot more challenging than when I was this first version of it with the 7 songs. Like, those did not take a lot of time. That is probably, I probably set a lot of personal records for starting and finishing songs, because I usually take my time with my writing process. But with these 3 new songs, like one song in particular, I just finished 2 days ago, and then reopened after I heard about the Jacob Blake.
Oh man.
Thing. And so I'm adding a couple of extra bars to that song, and so now it's an undone song again. But that particular song it took like weeks. Like, it's taken a very long time, and I'm trying to like push myself to finish it. My partner goes to bed way before I do. I'm usually awake until anywhere from 3 to 6 in the morning, and then wake up like anywhere between 10 and 11 in the morning, because I only work for myself right now, so I have the flexibility in my schedule. But I'm like on the couch with my this speaker right here, my one single speaker, which is my audible sound, and just the beat on repeat, trying to finish the song. And it was such a challenge, but now that it's like basically done, I'm like, okay, it was worth it, because it's a really good song. I'm excited about it. So it sometimes it can be a very arduous process. Sometimes it's like this.
Right. And sometimes it's like this, like when you rhyme.
It just depends, yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, I'm sure the creative process isn't always easy, you know.
Not at all.
But, you know, you pick yourself up and you keep it moving. And, you know, it may not come out as fast as you want it, but that means it needed a little more perfection. And then, bam, it's sealed and it's out on platforms for everyone to hear. So I can't wait for us to hear more.
Word.
See more.
Word.
Now, speaking on which, with as far as the music, right? So I know you was on some vinyl, and I want to hear, how do you feel about, because vinyl, that was back in the 80s, and then, you know, it went from vinyl to what, CDs to the MP3 player, and then the iPod came out, right?
You can't forget cassette tapes, because that was a huge part.
How do I forget that? How do I forget that? I used to have a whole tier full of those. How do I forget that?
I used to make mixtapes from like Hot 97, and like recording songs and like starting the record button at the right time so you don't pick up.
Oh my gosh, that was the pressure. And then when you have it perfected and the thing, all the tape comes out. And what did we use back? The pencil.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I lost my collection. I'm so mad. I had it in storage years ago, and sorry for the background noise. Hell's Kitchen, New York. I had it in storage years ago, and I didn't pay my storage bill on time, and now I don't have my collection. It's so sad, but I have the memories. I think I have one still, but that's part of what inspired me to be a hip hop artist, was just sitting on my bed as a teen, listening to Hot 97, playing PlayStation, whatever, and just like buying Maxwell and TDK cassette tapes, and just every time I heard a song, press record.
Bring it back right now, you know, because you already brought it back to the vinyl, you know, so I'm sure you love it. Like, so if you had to choose, because I know you're going to be honest with me, you had to choose between vinyl and just downloading music, which would you choose?
You put me in a jam. So I'm not from a vinyl era. I only understood its true value in my late teenage years. And so now, just going back to your original question, being able to say that, so for context, so the vinyl situation will be in September. Right now, we're taking pre-orders. If you go to Leesta, Leesta, Vall.com, you can find me, and what they do is they do a live to vinyl recording session. So I'll have like a 3-hour recording session with them in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and any song that the purchaser purchases, because it's only one song per record.
Okay.
It's customized specifically to them. And so I'm really excited about that. But I'd be lying if I said I grew up collecting vinyl. Like, I saw vinyl, I knew what it was, but I didn't have access to it to a way where I was putting the record on putting the needle on the record and all that. I didn't have that until in my adult years. I was only around adults who let me watch them put needles on the vinyl. And that wasn't even a regular thing. Exactly. And that wasn't even a regular experience. So I would say, since you're going on two extremes, like basically the first invention that allowed the consumer to bring music home, all the way to the most current, which is, or not the most, because the most current is streaming, but prior to streaming, it was like downloading. I would go with downloading because I'm also somebody who likes easy access, something that you can catch quickly. So I miss collecting. I also miss collecting CDs and cassette tapes. So
okay. So quick download, go and stream, go and download, and let's just make it happen.
It's evolution. That's what I mean. Like, people love that sound of the vinyl when it, when you hear the you know what I mean? And I love it too, as somebody who didn't even grow up on it, but I also love easy access, something that you can just quickly put on your phone or whatever it is you listen to, and keep it moving. So, there's benefits to both, but at the end of the day, technology is made to evolve, and, we can't get caught up in, we can't get too caught up in nostalgia.
You're right. I'm not gonna say what era I'm, came from, but sometimes I miss those days,
Right.
Back, as they say, even people older than us, like, dang, why does this person keep saying this? Hey, music ain't like how it used to be. And then you're like, yeah. And now you're like, oh, okay, I'm saying it.
Word.
Now I'm saying it,
I never envisioned it. I never envisioned that moment in life where I'd be like, well, back in my day, we was listening to cassette tapes.
Oh, man. Like, listen, they gonna be like, what? What is that?
Oh, I've had it happen. Like I said, I was in youth development, so like I met my partner through teaching hip hop curriculum, and we was explaining like records and cassette tapes and CDs, and this is like junior high school kids, and they were looking at me because she's a few years younger than me, and so like she understands the things that I was teaching, but doesn't have the same grasp that I have over it because I lived it in a way that was different from her experience. But like teaching this to the kids was like, there was a lot of like, moments, like, what are you talking about? Like, so it's like, let me bring a record in for them to see it. You know what I mean? Let me bring a cassette tape in.
They're probably like, wow. What? Like, what? You guys, what?
Absolutely.
So with rapping, right, in the hip hop scene, have you ever thought about acting?
I actually have. It's not something that I plan on doing like big picture, but I actually have. Again, there's two ways that I've done it. And so, again, like I said, because I worked for an organization that taught filmmaking to young people who were in the narrative filmmaking class, sometimes they needed extras. And so some of my young people have put me in their films to be extras. And then one of my homeboys, who is just, shouts to my dude Keith Lauder, one of the most fun experiences during the quarantine, earlier in the quarantine, like when Versus first started, was we did a song battle. We did a Versus style song battle against each other. And it was so much fun. That dude is such a talented, between like producing, like making beats, being a hip hop artist, a filmmaker, he is one of those people like yourself who wears many hats, and I'm just humbled to know him. He did a web series years ago that he cast me in. Originally, he wanted me to be the main character, but I was like, I'm not so committed to acting that I'm gonna, be willing and able to show up to the set as often as you'll need me to do this. So he actually casted me as another character, like the boyfriend of one of the main characters. The ex-boyfriend of one of the main characters, and I got to be an asshole. And that's not something that's innate to me, but it's innate to my sense of humor, and so it was a lot of fun. If you can go on YouTube and find it, I
So
really
what
enjoyed
is
that.
the name of this show?
The Reversal, that's the name. If you go to my YouTube, you'll see when I have all of my things broken down in a playlist, and I think the playlist is called So Acts. And so you'll see, or So On Screen or something like that, and you'll see a few documentaries that I've been a part of, the one that I made, and then also the Reversal, my episode that I'm in on the Reversal web series. It was so much fun filming it, because like I just happen to know pretty much all the actors in it. They're either like group members or friends, and we just had a lot of fun. And he did a good job of like filming, editing. It was just amazing.
Wow, I have to see this. I have to see this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I can see acting from you, but I know music is your baby, your number one, you know?
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, SoSoon is with capital S. Okay? Capital S for so, capital S for soon, and it's all one word. Okay? Just in case you guys go to YouTube and you're looking for it, that's how you find it.
Thank you, because people often make the mistake of putting it as two words or putting it as one word with the S as part of soon, lowercase, and so thank you.
Yeah, no problem, because you know sometimes that's how people will connect with you on Instagram too. Wait, I can't find you. Where you at? Bam,
Exactly.
there's the connection right there.
Exactly.
So do we have any projects coming soon? I mean, any new videos coming out that we haven't seen just yet?
Yeah, it's funny. It's interesting managing yourself. Like I have a team, but like I don't have a manager on my team. And so it's interesting managing yourself, because I realized like everything that I put out content wise during the quarantine was just kind of like, I'm in the mood to do this, so we're gonna do this. And so like the documentary series is supposed to be a 6-part series, and then I just kind of got caught up in creating other things, and so I stopped at the 2nd chapter, but I have the 3rd close to completion, and I'm probably going to release that in another week or so. I'm still thinking it's weird, and the reason why I brought this up about like management is because the one thing I know a manager would tell me is like, okay, you're pushing this, so everything has to be focused on this. So I released Tired as the first single, so you would think that that would be one of the first, if not the first video that I shot, but I haven't. And so I'm still trying to think about conceptually how to make Tired a video. And so there's a good chance that will happen. And if it does successfully, then that'll mean that 5 out of 7 of the songs on SOONY Quarantine, on this first rendition of the SOONY Quarantine project, will have videos. I'm also thinking about doing a video for the song Fuckboy. I have somebody in mind to cast, because the first verse of the song is like, I'm on Zoom with a girl that I'm trying to kick it to. She has a partner, but I'm like kicking it to her, and she's like catching in on that. It's just play. It's not real. I have a partner in real life that I'm not cheating on. So I have somebody that I'm thinking about casting for that, and so the idea is starting to feel a little more like it can come to real life. So there's a possibility that when it's all said and done, 6 of the 7 songs on SOONY Quarantine, the current version of SOONY Quarantine, will have music videos. The things that are definitely going to happen, that are happening and will definitely come to fruition, are the book, that, like I said, is like really talking about the process, the experience, the footnoting and annotating, breaking down slang for those who are not familiar to certain slang words, giving people an insight to what inspired each song. And then also, like I said, the collaboration with Least of All, live to vinyl, studio sessions. The session is actually September 6th, and so you have about another few days to pre-order your record. And like I said, so there's 8 different songs I've made available for that session. If you purchase each song, I have to record each song and then like do a personal tribute to you, so that it becomes a one-of-one experience. So
wait a minute. So if I order Tired, you have to do that song? Oh. Oh shoot. I was like, oh shoot. Anyway, back to that. So if anyone like orders a song, you're doing it live right then in
if you, Taji, said, okay, I'm gonna get Tired. I'm gonna get Only Child.
Only
I'm gonna
Child.
get Rent Party. I'm just thinking of songs off the top of my head that I know I made available. I'd have to not only record each song, but then make sure that there's a personal dedication to you in that song, so that, like, let's say my partner purchases Tired. Not only is there another version of that song cut, but I'm also re-recording it.
Gotcha.
So, like, if 10 people purchase Tired, I have to record that 10 times during that 3-hour session.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a really unique thing that they do. I am going to probably do a lot of running and just things to prepare my breath and my lungs to have the energy to be in that 3-hour session, re-recording songs over and over and over again, and then making sure that I know them really well so that I limit the mistakes that are made so I can just go through and get as much done as possible. So it's going to be really fascinating. I'm hoping to have somebody, like somebody with a camera come in to record it, because it is going to be something like I've probably never done in my life. So
wow, that sounds like a cool experience.
it should be fun.
I've never heard of that before, and I love things that are different.
Yeah.
Fun and different.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, those are the things that, oh shoot, I almost forgot. So much happening. I have collaborations with 2 different, sorry, I'm pouring my wine. For those who follow Taji who are not artists, she is very thorough with her communications prior to show. And one of the things she said is make sure you have a snack with you, so that, because it's going to be an interview, you're not going to go off camera and then go get a snack. It would be unprofessional for me to pick up my laptop to go to the kitchen. So I made sure I have my rosé with me in my Rosé Mansion cup. But the other thing I want to mention is that I have 2 collaborations, 2 different clothing collaborations with 2 different clothing designers.
I need to write this down.
Yeah. So shouts to Be Blessed Co. They're going to be producing my Tired shirt. So there's 2 versions of it. There's Tired, and then there's going to be Tired But Not Broken, which is an offshoot of a design they already have, which is Bruised But Not Broken. And then I'm also collaborating with this amazing clothing line called Franzi Face, which they have a physical store in Albemarle Mall, that new mall in downtown Brooklyn. It's on the ground floor, and the store is actually called The Spot, and they sell over 30 Black and brown owned clothing lines and accessory lines. And so Franzi Face, who's one of the co-owners of The Spot, he and I have a collaboration coming out with some shirt designs and whatever. So that'll all be available on my To-Be website. That'll be coming very soon as well. So a lot of things happening. Like I said earlier, the quarantine has inspired so much productivity, so much creativity, and I'm just hoping to be able to bank on it fiscally. And, you know, even if it doesn't happen in the short term, I'm not going to be one of those people who look back at 2020 and say, wow, that was a really, like, unproductive year.
Yeah, like I just sat on my ass and just can you believe there's only a few more months left to 2021? I
can't. The year is going by so fast.
September's right around the corner, so it's pretty much 3 months away. Like, this is crazy.
I cannot believe it, honestly.
So I just want to know the fun stuff right now. What's the first thing you did when we came out of punishment? Like, okay, no quarantine.
Like, what is the first thing I did? I think because my timeline is just so off, because, you know, we can barely keep up with the days. But my partner, one of her sisters has a house in Connecticut, and that's like home base to go and chill or whatever. So we've done a few social distance hangouts, because also in her family there's a lot of like summer babies, and so a lot of those birthdays have been celebrated at her sister's place. And then she and I also have done a few paired outings where we've like just rented a car to go to Jersey to the beach and gone to upstate New York. We went to upstate New York for her birthday, which was last month. So those are probably the biggest things that I've done coming out of, as you put it, punishment. But even during the quarantine, I did get out occasionally to just, I'm very privileged right now in my life where I live very close to Riverside Park. So it's a 10-minute walk to just go and look at the water, just walk along the water or whatever. So I did that a few times, you know, socially distant.
Right.
I've been renting a lot more city bikes. I've not been a big biker, but like within the last month or so, I've been renting city bike more and just like riding along the water just to get the view, get the exercise. The Ahmaud Arbery killing, assassination, if you will, really made me fearful of running for a while, but I've been getting back out on the pavement and running because for the last few years, I've been, a lot of my fitness has come from running. And so even last night, I don't know how it happened because I haven't done this much running in a while, but I ran like about 4 miles and found my way over down by World Trade Center.
Oh,
and
wow.
just, like slowly took my time making my way back up to Hell's Kitchen. And then at a certain point, I just rented a city bike and just took my time riding my way back up. So I was doing that. I've been doing stuff like that, but not too much hangouts. I think one group of friends I did lunch with.
Sounds like fun stuff.
Outing. So yeah.
Have you had some fun stuff?
Yeah, well, depends on, you know, what you define as fun. Because I'm going to ask you, have you seen or been a part of any large gatherings post-quarantine? And when I say large, I'm talking about like, let's say 15 or more people?
I have.
Okay. I've seen a few, and I'm like...
But we were doing what we were supposed to do.
Word. Good,
so,
good.
Like this past Sunday, I went to a comedy event. Nice. And it was real dope. And, you know, my husband was actually one of those in the show. And it was nice. It was in Brooklyn. It was nice. It was more than 15, not 100. Okay, not 100. Because I'd have been like, whoa, you know. It was a little weird, you know, trying to eat and then put your mask when you're not eating. You know, put your mask on when you're not drinking. Yeah. You know, but I mean, I'm a social butterfly, so it's hard for me not to, you know, and it's crazy. Like when you see people, I'm so quick to go like this, and then I'm like, "Are you?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's okay." I'm like, "All right, cool, yeah, get somebody."
Yeah, that's real. That's very
crazy, right?
Very real. Yep.
So we can't end without me asking: have you ever thought about? Because I know you're a fashionisto, everyone. And it makes sense, you know, fashionisto, not fashionista. I know everybody's like, fashionista. Wait, what? Yeah. Yes. So I know you I love your fashion sense, which is cool.
Thank you.
You know, I'll be watching that. Have you thought about being a fashion designer? Because I would definitely be like, you need to get SoSoon stuff now.
These, the collaborations that I mentioned earlier with Be Blessed Co. and Franzi Face are a test run to see if I have the patience, fortitude, and capacity to make that an extension of who I am. I think that I don't know what the future holds. One of the things I wanted to say to you earlier is that, so I had talked about having a artistic career that has spanned 20 plus years at this point, right? I never imagined first of all, I never imagined that I was going to be this passionate about hip hop as a practitioner when I first started. I did not envision at 14 years of age that this would carry into my 30s, right? And so that in itself is a fortune and a blessing to say that I've been passionate about something for so long. But what's even more beautiful about it is that it's opened so many different doors and avenues. Like the owner of Be Blessed Co. is one of my best friends. Shout out to him and her brand. And being willing to like want to design something for me and put it out through her brand as a collaboration. My homeboy Franzi, who owns Franzi Face, I knew him from college. He wasn't a fashion guy in college, but now he has his own clothing line that I wear and support a lot. And he's also introduced me to a lot of Black clothing designers. And so not only am I inspired about supporting Black owned, but now I'm thinking about possibly releasing some of my own things. And so that's not something I imagined, but, you know, hip hop is what opened that door. So I won't say definite, but we'll see what happens.
Right. We know music is your number one, but I can see it. I can see it. I can see it.
I can see it too. I can see it too. It just what I know about myself is that I'm only consistent in things that I'm truly passionate about. And I think that discipline, understanding yourself and understanding like your capacity is really key. And there's some people, again, like yourself, who can dip their toes in a lot of different things and manage and navigate those things really well. But if you're not that person, don't try to be it, because you'll be, would you rather be a jack of all trades or a master of a few or maybe even one? So, you know, I'm not going to make any guarantees, but we'll see how these collabs go. We'll see if people start purchasing these things like hotcakes. And I'll tell you that, like, you know, I'm a capitalist. I'm a American. I'm a capitalist, whether or not I want to be. And so that will, when the designs come out, if people use their purchasing power to pick them up, that'll be a huge determining factor if I want to go into my own ventures. So.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait to see this collaboration.
I'm excited.
I'm with it. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. I love fashion so much. It's crazy. I know you're like, what the hell? Music and fashion.
I feel the same way.
I love both, you know? Don't put me in a corner and tell me to choose. Like that.
Don't put me in a corner.
Right. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So before we end, please tell I know where to follow you. But we need those listening and watching. We need them to know where to follow you. So please let them know.
Yeah. SoSoon on Instagram, SOSOON. That is where you will see the most content and the most regular, interaction. I've recently figured out how to be more active. I've had Twitter for longer than Twitter existed longer than Instagram. So I've had a Twitter for a very long time and had moments of like, you know, being engaged. But within the last year or so, I've really figured out how to be a bit more engaged and engaging on Twitter. So you can follow me on Twitter at SoSoonish, like Blackish. So it's SoSoon with the ISH at the end. Facebook is SoSoon Music 2.0. For brand purposes, I'm going to probably change that to SoSoonish also. And those are the main platforms.
YouTube.
Oh, shoot. Thank you. Yes. Just search SoSoon on YouTube. I'm building it so that it'll be easier to find me when you put it in the search, but I have a lot of content there. And then also, I'll just quickly plug that I have a really brilliant friend, Damien, who cultivated this amazing idea a few years ago called the framework. In a nutshell, we use logic and reason to bring logic and reason to what we call the barbershop conversations. Who's the best basketball player of all time? Who's the best MC? Who's the best quarterback? All these different things or whatever. We spend a lot of time talking about hip hop because that's the thing that we both feel very comfortable discussing. But tomorrow will be 22 episodes and counting. We started during the quarantine, another one of the most exciting things that have happened during the quarantine. So you can check the framework out with myself and Damian Tillman every Friday on IG Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have a lot of fun. Actually, tomorrow, I'll just quickly say that, so we're in our 5th framework, because each framework takes about 4 to 5 episodes to like really go through. And so we're in our 5th framework, and we're talking about the top 10 hip hop albums from solo artists in the 90s. That's a lot, but so that's what we've been discussing for the last 4 episodes. And tomorrow we are going to reveal our top 10 list. That's probably one of the most exciting moments anytime we reveal the list, because everything prior to that is creating the list or whatever. So determining who we're going to discuss and all that good stuff. So I'm really excited about tomorrow. And like I said, you can catch the framework on IG Live. Just follow me at SoSoon or at Damien Tillman 9, the number 9, and check us out.
What time tomorrow?
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go from about 6 to, we'll say 7:30. Sometimes it goes a little less. Sometimes it goes a little more. Depends on how engaged the audience is. But we have a lot of fun each week. So.
Ooh, sounds like fun, guys. Make sure you catch that. Yes.
Right.
Yes. And your music can be streamed everywhere. iTunes, Google, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, of course. And for those that don't know, if you don't check your emails or maybe you don't know, Google Play Music actually is going to be ending. So it's going to be YouTube Music now. All right. So if you haven't heard it anywhere, you heard it here on Live with Taji with SoSoon.
Right.
All right. Just a reminder alert. So if you have anything that you saved on there, you know, do what you got to do to get it transferred over. Because, you know, people like me don't play with my music, yo. Don't do me like that.
You ain't never told a lie.
You don't want to wake up one day and be like, yeah. Like, don't do it. So make sure y'all handle that on all major music platforms. And please follow him. He is talented, super humble, super cool. And listen, he does what he has to do. And I thank you for coming on Live with Taji. And this has been so fun, even though a lot of craziness is going on in the world right now. I'm happy that you were able to, you know, take your time away with me on this Thursday. You know, it's raining now. Like, it's crazy, right? It was just nice out. All of a sudden, it just started raining. But I appreciate you. And please, everyone, listen to Only Child. This song is on Taji's platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, on Anchor, like Spotify and a whole bunch of other podcast platforms is all there. So if you want to find everything, just go to Anchor. iHeartRadio and SoundCloud won't be on there, though. So you got to go separate. And go to my website, TajiD'Souza.com. I do have his YouTube video for Only Child on there. Just scroll to the bottom, and it's there under Spotlight Edition, because guess what? He deserves to be in the spotlight.
Thank you for having me, because any opportunity for an artist to talk about what we do it should be an appreciated opportunity. I'll only speak for myself in this moment, but it should be, and it is an appreciated opportunity. So I thank you for taking the time to like do the research, see what I'm doing, ask really great questions, and just like create a space for me to have a very engaged interview that will allow your fan base to hopefully transition to my music. I don't take it for granted. So thank you.
No, thank you. And of course, I can't end it without saying thank you to Afrika from Break Bread Studios, because without her, we wouldn't have met. And, you know, we met during Juneteenth, guys. So, I mean, more power to you, more power to us. And you want to hear more, you want to collaborate with SoSoon, follow him. And if you can't remember SoSoon, just go to Live with Taji. His info is there. So you'll have a good one. And thank you again so much for your time. And I don't have rosé, but I am sipping on Gatorade. Yeah, I need my electrolytes up right now.
I hear you.
But yes, thank you so much. And you heard it here on Live with Taji. Y'all have a great night. And you will hear back from me on Tuesday night. Later, y'all.
I just be in my zone. Don't call me, don't text me, don't Zoom me. I'm good. Leave me alone. I was built for this shit. Wow. Remote learning, remote working, remote earning, remote sermons, remote service, remote churches, remote excursions, remote verses, shower Swiss and Timberland, remote disturbance, remote diversions, to elect him again. Be more observant, feed your purpose before it worsens. Need more deferment for that rent, them student loans and phone service. We broke and nervous, wish we were more German for that better stimulus. We supposed to flourish, or for 1200, remote ain't working. Call up Spectrum, they in my rectum for that monthly checkup, but I got connections. Hope they don't check it. I don't want my shit messed up, piling up debt quick. Might sell an erection just to catch a few bucks. We supposed to be Jetsons. This shit is oppressing and depressing as fuck. Social distance, global sickness. Slow response, that's so ridiculous. Broken spirits, COVID did this. Instagram live, show up in style. May say beyond for Cash App or PayPal. Only thing that is holding me down, mama raising me as an only child. Only child. Lonely now? No, hold it down. Gonna be wild for a while. Don't hold your smile. Find your joy. Find your grind. Find your toys. Find your time. Write some rhymes. Remote pressing, remote presses, talking Rona. Remote therapist to remove the stresses off my shoulders. Remove the weapons, see who's protected when these whites get bolder. Remote controller, program to show my people aggressive. Police gon' increase more presence, peace don't increase for my brethren. Stock up your Second Amendments, great idea, Charlemagne suggested. Please stop telling black people be peaceful. Hold that world, look at us like we evil. Being black so much be fucking illegal. Why I still gotta fight to be equal? Reload the record, let Jay decode the reference for the culture. Get primo from Texas. Next gen MCs need more exposure, need more legends to co-sign on this shit like it's bad credit. We smoke, reach towards the heavens. Need more bullet, need more Hendrix. Social distance, global sickness. Slow response, that's so ridiculous. Broken spirits, COVID did this. Instagram live, show up in style. May say beyond for Cash App or PayPal. Only thing that is holding me down, mama raising me as an only child. Only child. Lonely now? No, hold it down. Gonna be wild for a while. Don't hold your smile. Find your joy. Find your grind. Find your toys. Find your time. Write some rhymes.
Figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
You see me?